Most of our friendships are contextual. They were produced by and exist because of a certain context. If you played netball, you have your netball friends. If you lived in Berlin, you have your Berlin friends. And if you went to uni, you have your uni friends. But what happens when the context ends? One of two things. Either you stay friends, you both put mutual effort in, your friendship evolves past its initial context, and you stay friends for life. Or much more likely, you slowly drift apart, maybe catching up every 3 years or so, silently stalking each other on social media, having a vague awareness of each other's lives, but both kind of mourning the fact that you're no longer friends, and then all of a sudden realising you're not friends anymore, but having had absolutely zero closure and zero foresight because you foolishly assumed that being friends in the past meant that of course you would stay friends in the future. And I really, really wish it was that simple. But alas, what I have learned in my 23 years of life is that friendship takes constant effort. Just like us humans, a friendship is in a constant process of dying. And it's up to you to keep it alive. Here is a graph to show your friendship over time. When you're in a shared context, every day your friendship is strengthened by seeing each other, having shared experiences. But after the context ends, your friendship is always falling. When you call and catch up, or you meet each other in person, you bring it back up again. When you text, when you voice note, again it goes up. But otherwise, it is in a constant state of falling, and it is up to you to make the effort to get it back to 100% and keep it there. It sounds very depressing and very unromantic, which is why no one talks about it with this realism. But this is the video that I wish I had seen to maintain intimate, fulfilling, incredible friendships in your adult life. I really, really hope it helps you. But Jade, I hear you ask. There are some friends I haven't seen in years, but when we meet up, it just goes back to normal. And I fully agree, which is why the English language feels so limited in a way. Like the word friend has to encapsulate your acquaintance, friends you've known for years, friends you've known for a week. And because it's so limited, I came up with my own framework to understand friendships. Think of your friendships in concentric circles. So imagine you are in the middle, and around you, you have many different circles of levels of friendship. The closest circle to you is your closest friends. You can only ever really have maximum 3 to 5 people in this middle concentric circle at any one time, because these are the people that when asked would know how you are right now. Like at almost any given time, they know roughly what's going on in your life, roughly how you are, and you know the same about them. And we only have so much mental capacity, so it really can only be about 3 to 5 people. These close friends are often formed by a shared context, a long history, spending a lot of time together, strongly bonding experiences, keeping up with each other. They make you feel psychologically safe. But what if one of these friends moves away and suddenly you only talk every few weeks? Then they start to drift into further concentric circles. It's not a bad thing, it's just life. They're still your friend, they're still meaningful to you, but they just have less of an awareness of your day-to-day life. As you keep going along the concentric circles, these are friends who are increasingly less close to you. Maybe you see each other once a year, maybe you text infrequently, but here's the thing. The longer that someone has spent in that middle concentric circle, the quicker that they can collapse back there. Like imagine you were best friends with someone the whole of high school, but then during university, they moved away. You end up not really talking, you haven't seen them in maybe a year. Because they spent so much time in that closest inner circle, it is so easy for them to suddenly feel really close to you again, even though you don't know what's going on in each other's lives. You collapse back to that closeness really quickly because of all that history. But when you have a friend who hasn't been in that inner circle that long, and then they go away, they drift out through the concentric circles, I think it's a lot harder for them to suddenly collapse back into the middle. So my goal in adulthood is to be really clear at all times about who my 3 to 5 people are in this middle circle and to treat them like that. Because anytime I stop putting in the work, they will fade further out into the concentric circles. So, tip number 1, the most life-changing tip ever. Schedule recurring calls or recurring rituals in your calendar. Put it in both of your Google calendars and then don't think about it, just do it. This has changed my life because suddenly you're not both doing that annoying thing. Oh, when are you free? When are you free? Oh, I have work. Oh, I'm busy. Maybe once every 3 weeks, maybe once a week. You have to find that you're gonna have a girls' night, or you're gonna have a coffee catch up, or you're gonna have a call. Since graduating, I have called my best friend Fong in Vietnam every single week for over 8 months now, which is crazy to me. But we put it in our calendars on a Friday and we both respect it and we call each other. And even though we're so far away, we have this crazy time zone between us, I always feel like I know what's going on in her life, and she feels like such a rock, even though we have no shared context now. It's in the calendar, together. We don't have to think. Maybe occasionally the time shifts if we can't do the time that week, but in general, it's just there, and then our friendship maintains itself. You want to get to this point where maintaining friendship does not feel like too much effort. Tip number 2. So we're adults now, right? And adulthood requires some introspection. Explore your relationship to friendship and intimacy. I promise that doing this will improve all your relationships forever. And what do I mean here? I mean therapy. For example, I always use the excuse, I'm not a good texter. Like, oh, I would keep up with you, but I'm just not a good texter. Like, I literally made it my identity. And it wasn't until I started therapy using the wonderful tool BetterHelp a few years ago, who is, by the way, the paid partner of this portion of the video, that I understood I have a very avoidant attachment style. I learned why that is. I learned how this harms my relationships, both friendships and romantic. I was the queen of ghosting, and I would just lose friends all the time. But therapy really dug into this, and I would say I'm now a very good friend. Like, with my close circle, I'm a great replier. I never used to be. Therapy on BetterHelp has changed my life. I literally have a session with my therapist in like 2 hours. She is amazing. This year I gifted my mum a membership on BetterHelp, so she's now doing therapy. It's so easy. It's online sessions with a credentialed therapist. You take a little questionnaire at the start to define why you're interested in therapy, what you might be struggling with, and they will match you with a therapist who is just amazing. And you can schedule sessions flexibly around your schedule and take them from home, which I love. It feels so cozy. Also, if you don't like your therapist, you can change. The site makes it so easy. This is actually my 3rd therapist overall, and I love her so much, but it does take time to find someone you connect with. If you feel like you could benefit from therapy, you can either click the link in my description, or you can use the link betterhelp.com/unshadedjade for 10% off your first month, which is amazing. I used a YouTuber's link to get 10% off my first month, so I really hope it helps you. Number 3, you have to offer up your vulnerability, your life experiences, and keep your friends in the loop. That is your responsibility. Because you know what? When your entire friendship is reduced to a few voice messages, maybe a few coffee catch-ups, maybe a few calls, it is so hard for your friend to know the exact questions to ask, to get you to talk about things that might be going on in your life that are, relevant at that time. I used to think, oh, if my friend's not asking this question, it's because they're not interested. Or, oh, if they're not asking me about my love life, it's because they don't care. But how are they always meant to know? You have to take emotional responsibility and offer up your vulnerability if there's something important that's happened or something major in your life. Like, for example, if you've gone on a date, I think it's up to you to make your friends feel included in that experience. Like, screenshot their apps and be like, oh my God, look at them. Or, oh yeah, the date was, it went well, it went awfully. Let them into your life. I saw this great quote about adult friendship, and it said, adult friendship is no longer experiencing life with your friends, but telling your friends about your life. And I think that is so true. After university, I hardly see any of my friends in person, and so it is up to me to tell them about my life more than experiencing it with them, which is sad but realistic. Number 4, don't be afraid to express your needs, your boundaries, and to express what a friend means to you. Especially in British culture, we don't do that often. But there is something so special about knowing where you stand with someone. Like, why do I call Fong my best friend? Because we've discussed it. Like, we both feel mutually that we are very important to each other and we will both put in that effort. For example, if you value one of your friends like they're your inner circle, but you feel that that friend is valuing you as though you're an outer circle friend, then you should tell them that. Say, I really value you, I really want to be close to you, but in order to feel close to you, I expect that you'll reply to my messages relatively quickly, or we'll call once a week, or we'll meet up X amount of times. Like, work out what is important to you in friendship and don't be afraid to ask for it. And if that person can't meet your needs, then you just know that you should prioritize other friends who can. Number 5 is have empathy. Adulthood is so busy and so stressful and so fluctuating, and sometimes how friends treat you is truly not personal. Work is busy. Maybe they are entering love life situations. People want to move city. It might not be because of you. So more than anything, have empathy and understand that not everything is personal. For example, they might cancel your coffee date occasionally. That's okay. They might change the time of the call. They might ask to call less because it doesn't work for them. But as long as mutual effort is there, then have empathy, give people compassion, give people benefit of the doubt. That's also how you foster a sense of security in your relationships. Empathy. Number 6, the death of a friendship People don't talk about this enough. Friendship breakups can be so painful. It is legitimately a breakup. It can be painful for so many reasons, but I think a big one is lack of closure, because with a romantic relationship, there's a very clear end, whereas with friends, it can often be an awkward drifting apart or never directly communicated, reminiscing the old days, like maybe this friend really served you while you were at uni, but they don't really serve you in your career life, and that is so hard to let go of this friend being part of every element of your life. And I've learned that it's okay to acknowledge that someone really served you in the past but might not serve you now, but I do also think that you owe them an explanation of your change in behavior. Like if you don't want to meet up anymore, I think you should tell them why. At the end of the day, you have to prioritize yourself. Life is busy. Like one really good test to determine if you should end a friendship or not is keep track of how you feel when you leave a social interaction with this person. Do you generally feel heavier, more down, more negative, judged, like this was an obligation? Or do you feel inspired, lighter, happier, more positive? And obviously friends have ups and downs, so it's not always going to be the second situation. But overall, you should net feel more positive coming out of interactions with this person. There should always be a give and a take. There should be mutual effort. There should be mutual growth. If not, don't be afraid to change the dynamic and tell them why. Number 7, loneliness. I felt like I couldn't make a video on adult friendship and not have a little ode to the difficulty of loneliness in adulthood. Like all of a sudden you're working different times, you have different lives, different schedules, you lose friends, maybe you feel like you don't have friends. I think you'd be surprised how many seemingly happy people actually feel very lonely. And if you are one of these people, you are not alone, you are not weird, you are not undesirable, but I would say that you need to treat finding and maintaining friendships like a job. As in, it's not just gonna happen, unfortunately. You have to be proactive, you have to put yourself out there. Like when I moved to Lisbon, I didn't know anyone, and the first few weeks I was experiencing the classic reinforcing feedback loop of loneliness, which is where you feel lonely, you want to see people less, but that makes you feel lonelier. Therefore, you want to see people even less, which makes you feel lonelier, and you just get lonelier and lonelier and see less and less people, and it just makes you feel more miserable. So you got to break that cycle by seeing more people. I got out my loneliness by going on the wonderful app Meetup. There's also Eventbrite in most countries, and they have free meetups with like-minded people. You know, I went to ceramics, I went to a salsa class, I went to a queer women meetup, a picnic meetup, and I made some really good friends from this. Even if it's scary, keep putting yourself out there. And finally, just very quickly, a tool that has absolutely changed my life with keeping in touch with long-distance friends, my friendship group, is Letterloop. It's this amazing tool that allows you to answer questions that your friends give you every month, and it produces a newsletter. So I keep up with all my friends around the world, very high level, and then from this newsletter I can reach out to them and ask them deeper questions. So it's been a really great tool and I can't recommend it enough. So if there is one thing that I am proud of in this life, it's that I think I'm a very good friend, and I have not always been a good friend, but I have consciously learned how to be, and it is not inherent, it is a skill you must learn and practice. If you guys have any more tips, please leave them down below. I would love the comments section to just be this wonderful place to express your feelings, to gain inspiration from others. Definitely check out BetterHelp using my link for 10% off your first month of therapy, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye guys!